Good morning and welcome to Fast Horses Today for Friday. Today is July 24th, and we've got a two-day Pick 6 carryover at Del Mar. So let's get started at Del Mar. A rare Pick 6 carryover, two-day carryover, 192,000. So as Bing Crosby said, where the turf meets the surf down at Old Del Mar, that is where we're going to go today for that big Pick 6 carryover. Now, I see that Del Mar is not doing the later post time on a Friday. I know typically they would start out at 4 o'clock Pacific, so that's 6 o'clock here Central, but they're not doing that this year. So maybe they just did a change of things. They're just going with their regular post time. 2 o'clock Pacific, first post. So that's 4 o'clock here Central Time Zone. The Pick 6 does start in the third race. The third race does have an approximate post time, about 3 o'clock Pacific, so that's 5 o'clock here Central. So, as I mentioned, it's a $192,000 Pick 6 carryover, 2 days. We rarely see two-day carryovers in California anymore, but I'm going to imagine that the money's going to come pouring in for a day like that. Now, I did some studying. I couldn't figure out an affordable ticket for the Pick 6. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that late Pick 5, which does start in the fourth race. Now, as I've said before many times, in these Pick 6 carryover days, if you don't play the Pick 6, that Pick 5, which happens after, does seem to have an inflated pool because there's just more money in the pool. People show up with more. If they get knocked out of that first leg, that Pick 5 is really going to be, definitely an expanded pool and create a lot more value. I think yesterday there was more in the Pick 5 pool than in the Pick 6. So, kind of makes my point there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that late Pick 5. It does start in the fourth race. Fourth race has an approximate post time, about 3:30 Pacific time, so that's 5:30 here Central Time Zone. We're going to start out with an open $40,000 claiming race. They're going to go on the grass. Mile and an eighth on the grass there at Del Mar, so they're going to go way up that Jimmy Durante chute onto that chute, make that almost right angle turn onto that main track and go around one time. That's a mile and an eighth. So I think the first race does lie with one trainer here. I think George Papapadromo kind of holds the cards for this fourth race. I'm going to end up putting both of the Papapadromo runners in this race. I'm going to put the two horse was Balladeer, George Papapadromo barn. He puts Julian Leperoux on the horse. Balladeer, certainly an old timer. This horse has been around the circuit for several years. Now, if you look at his past performances, you'll see it's been a long time between drinks. What I do look at here is I'm going to throw out his last two races. I think he's had excuses in those. He ran in the Grade 2 Charlie Whittingham, just a little deep for him nowadays. And then his most recent start was on the dirt. This horse has certainly done his best work on the turf. I'm going to give Leperoux one shot here. You're not going to really hear me putting Julian Leperoux on too many tickets during this Del Mar meet. But I think this horse definitely has a pace advantage here in this race. There's not a whole lot of speed signed on. There's really one horse that could go with him, and that's the 7 horse, Stamp My Passport. If that horse doesn't go, I think Balladeer, we've seen in the past, this horse gets a lead. He gets very brave on the front end, and the long distance doesn't seem to matter. So we're going to put him in just for that purpose, is that maybe he'll get an easy lead. You'll see Leperoux nursing that lead, and we'll go from there. Then I'm going to put the other Papapadromo horse. That's the 5 horse with City Exile, which is probably going to be your favorite, Umberto Rispoli on the horse. Now this horse, drops into a 40,000 claimer. He's been running in the allowance ranks there in California, and he's been running some nice races. He's running with some nice horses as well. I mean, you look at his last 4 starts. He got beat by Gold Phoenix, Call Me Corey, Ironman Cal. Those are all 3 stakes performers, and he's got a win in between there. So I think City Exile finds a pretty good spot here. If his stablemate, his barn buddy, does the job of running fast early, City Exile will certainly have a big pace to run into. So we're going to put him in. Rispoli's been riding really well, getting it done on the turf. And, this would be a race where I think he can navigate through this field and get it done. He's the program favorite at 5-2. So we'll put the 2 and the 5 to start out this Pick 5 in the fourth race. Now let's go over to the fifth race of the day. Fifth race is a 6 furlong dirt sprint. These are your bottom level claimers. These are California bred claimers going 6 furlongs, $12,500 claimers. Very lightly talented field, as you would expect for this level. I'm going to put 4 horses in. Not going to spend too much time talking about this race. Just hope that we've got one of these here. These horses have shown some life, could be live here on Friday. Going to go with the 2-horse Hungover for Ryan Hansen. Wilfred Arrantes on the horse. Arrantes might have a couple live mounts today. This horse was run with some better horses. This 12-5 level should be good here. 8-1, we'll put Hungover in there. Going to put the 7-horse, who is Tight Dally, Peter Urton, Armando Ayuso. I'm going to give the horse an excuse as last time. He ran in this level over at Los Alamitos. He had some trouble, got crowded on that far turn, and kind of got the chance taken out of there. This horse could be good enough for this race. Going to put the 9-horse. 9-horse being Sunk Cost Fallacy from Mike Pipey. Kazushi Kimura on the horse. This horse takes a drop into the 12-5 claiming ranks. He had been running in $50,000 state-bred claimers. That alone should make him faster and give him a shot here in this race. At 6-1, Kazushi Kimura. Maybe he'll be storming home on this one. And finally, we'll put the 11-horse, was My Man Joe Roldan. Armando Marquez, we'll see if maybe he gets his first winner. As we saw, that happen yesterday. I think it was Felix Rondon ended up getting his first winner and upset the apple cart there. He was an offer for this year. So we'll see if maybe Marquez gets his first winner. Hector Barrios takes the call here on this 11-horse. My Man Joe Roldan. Post position, pretty good on the outside here. Maybe a stalking trip. He has some races that certainly fit here and should make him very competitive. So we'll put the 2, 7, 9, 11 in the 5th race here in the late pick 5. Let's go to the 6th race of the day. 6th race is a turf sprint. They're going 5 furlongs. This is a second level allowance race here, with an option to claim for $100,000, which certainly does factor in to the handicapping and who I think could win here. We've got some really nice turf sprinters signed on for this race, and it makes for a tough race. So I'm going to give you the horses I'm going to put here. I've got 3 horses in, and why I'm going to put these in. I'm going to put the 1 horse was Virat for Dan Blacker. Now, Dan Blacker definitely disappointed me yesterday. I singled him on the favorite in the last race of the day. Needed that for the turf pick 3 and late pick 3, but didn't come through there. So we're going to give Dan Blacker another shot here. This horse certainly has certainly run at these levels and run well. Has run well at Del Mar also. The 1 hole certainly an advantage in these 5 furlong sprint races. He's got enough speed to get out himself or to protect his position. I'm going to leave it up to Hector Barrios. He knows what to do on the turf, and he'll work out a good trip here. Virat is 4-1. He'll certainly be a factor. Now, he's in this race because they're putting him in for the 100,000 claiming race because he's definitely passed through this allowance level before. So, good move. I think, someone wants to claim the horse for 100K. Good luck to them. But Virat can certainly be dangerous here in this 6th race. Going to put the 4-horse. 4-horse being a shipper coming from Gulfstream Park for Jose D'Angelo. Now, we saw Jose D'Angelo win with a price yesterday during the late pick 5 and pick 6. Horse ran a really nice race. Amicio Jaramillo takes the horse here. Now, this horse, I feel, is the speed of the race. That's Gabaldon. Gabaldon should get out and lead this bunch. We're just going to see if Gabaldon is good enough here. Now, some of his previous races tell me that he is. Ismael Jaramillo has ridden this horse. He rode this horse very well to start his career. That was back in 2024. Broke his maiden in a stakes race there at Gulfstream Park on the turf. They thought so much of him, they ended up sending him over to Royal Ascot. And Jaramillo got a 2nd place finish out of that big race there, the Windsor Castle. As we see, it happens many times when American horses ship out either to Europe or the Middle East. They need some time off, and that certainly happened with this guy. This guy, I'm putting him in because he's got that high-octane speed. I don't know that anyone could run with him. We're going to trust Ismael Jaramillo can nurse the horse on the lead. Maybe he's good enough to lead them all. We'll see. Maybe it'll just be a bunch of horses trying to get to him at the end. And that 5 furlongs, that finish wire comes really quickly there at Del Mar on the turf course. So we'll put Gabaldon at 6-1. That's the 4-horse. And then I'm going to finally put the 6-horse, was Bad Uncle Barry. Bad Uncle Barry from Mark Glatt, Umberto Rispoli. This horse comes off a layoff. Last time we saw this horse was back in October at Santa Anita. He ended up losing at this level by a nose down the hill. But this horse certainly has run well off layoffs. And he's done that a couple times. So there's a good sample size here. Now, he's a lightly raced horse. He's 6 years old, and this will be his 9th start. So, there's been some issues with getting him to the races and stringing races together. But he does seem to fire fresh, 5-1. He likes Del Mar, has done well at Del Mar. And, you don't get better than Rispoli right now riding on the turf there. So I could see Bad Uncle Barry working out a trip and finishing up strongly. We'll see if a horse like Gabaldon, can lead him. If, he falls apart, a horse like Bad Uncle Barry can certainly pick up the pieces at 5-1. So we've got the 1, 4, and 6, the 6th race. So let's go to the 7th race of the day. 7th race is the feature race. This is the Fleet Treat. They're going 7 furlongs, $150,000 stakes race. These are for California bred fillies and their 3-year-olds. Definitely a nice purse here at $150,000. I looked through this race. Nice field signed on, but I think it's all about the favorite. I think it's about Mohaven, that being the 8 horse at 8-5 for the John Sadler barn. Ismael Jaramillo on the horse. Now Jaramillo's gotten the job done, winning by open lengths on Mohaven her last 2 starts at different distances. So if you look at the PPs, this horse by Yalpan was a nice purchase price, $200,000 purchase, and it has a Calbred, so that's a big purchase price. And I think this horse is paid off for the connections. They've seen some nice success with Mohaven. As I mentioned, different distances. Has done well at Del Mar. 2 of her 4 wins are at Del Mar, so she's 2 for 4 there with 2 seconds, also including a 7 furlong win here. So I think, distance shouldn't be a problem. It probably plays into her favor at 7 furlongs. She's shown the speed and stamina to do a distance like that. So I think she's worthy of the 8-5 early morning odds. And I think she'll be, probably less than that. And we're going to single her here in the 7th race in this pick 5. Finally, we're going to go to the 8th race of the day. 8th race has an approximate post time about 5:30 Pacific, so that's 7:30 here in the evening, Central Time Zone. This is a maiden special weight race. These are California bred maiden special weights, 3-year-olds and up. They're going a mile on the grass, and there's going to be a lot of attention on this race. So certainly a lot of eyes on this race. We'll be paying off the pick 6 potentially, that late pick 5, the turf pick 3, the late pick 3. So certainly a lot of tickets will be riding on this race. We'll see if we'll get a pick 6 payoff here. So I find this race to be very open. I'm going to put 5 horses here. What I'm feeling is I think we've got the earlier races covered pretty nicely. I like the single in Mohaven, and we're going to have 5 horses in coverage here in this last race to try to pay us off on a nice ticket. As I mentioned, it just seems to me like this race is pretty open. I don't see any standouts, so I've got 5 horses. I'm going to put the 2 horse. He's Proof of Joy, Alberto Rubalcava, trainer Cristobal Herrera, jockey. This horse ran an okay race first out. Maybe it was just a get me over the track race. This horse by Idiot Proof, which I definitely like the Idiot Proof offspring. They certainly do well on turf. The question will be does a horse by Idiot Proof want to go a mile? We'll see. I think, we'll get that test here, 8-1. As I mentioned, I don't think there are many standouts here, so maybe this horse could possibly take him wire to wire and run a big race. So we've seen some of the Idiot Proofs do very well on the Del Mar grass. Going to put the 4 horse, who is going nowhere, for Ryan Hansen, Wilfred Arantes. As I mentioned, I think Arantes does have some live mounts. Maybe he can get a couple wins at the Del Mar card. It will be a nice accomplishment for a jock like Arantes. This horse has run some nice races on the grass at this level, but also shows a propensity to get beat. So I think several of them kind of fit that profile. So it's very hard to just select one horse. That's why I'm putting several in here. His last couple races certainly put him right in the mix here. It's just a matter of him probably getting that perfect trip and finishing up. So, as I mentioned, no standouts here, but going nowhere at 8-1 in the program, certainly worth putting on the ticket. We'll put him in there. Going to put the 5 horse was Big Vengeance. Now, Big Vengeance comes in for Antonio Garcia. Garcia 2 for 2 at the Del Mar meeting. He's had some live horses, and we'll see if he can keep that winning streak going. A couple changes here for Big Vengeance. Blinkers are coming off this horse, so they must have seen something here that they want to change things up, take those blinkers off, maybe relax this horse a little bit, get him more of a finish. And they're also putting Armando Ayuso on the horse. Now, Ayuso certainly been riding really well at Del Mar, 6-1. Now, Big Vengeance is another horse that's just been running at this level, running some good races, competitive, but hasn't gotten it done. So just put this horse in. Maybe he gets a good trip, gets a better trip than he had been, and Ayuso could finish up with him. So we'll put the 5 horse Big Vengeance. Going to put the 6 horse who was Feeling Lucky for Brian Corner. Now, this is a big purchase price. This 4-year-old cost $100,000 at auction. That's a big purchase price for a Calbred. Joel Rosario takes the call, 5-1 in the program. This is a second start out for this horse. Feeling Lucky did run one time over at Santa Anita in a 6.5 furlong flat grass effort. Just kind of an even race. Probably was a get me over the track type of deal. Corner does much better with his second starters. And, we're going to put Rosario in here. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with Joel Rosario. He's really stumbled out of the gate big time at this Del Mar meet. So, he was showing 1 for 24 in the racing form, but you can add some more losses there because I think he had 6-7 mounts, on Thursday that he didn't win with. So Rosario's really slumping. See if he can break out of it here with Feeling Lucky. He's done some good work with Brian Corner. They've teamed up. So 5-1 we'll put the 6-horse, Feeling Lucky. And then finally going to put the 9-horse was Flash of Lightning. Flash of Lightning comes in for Richard Baltus. Baltus legs up Juan Hernandez on this 9-horse here. 7-2 in the program. Might be your program, or might be your betting favorite. We'll see. Again, I think Flash of Lightning kind of goes along with some of these other ones I mentioned. Has been running at this level. Been running in some competitive races, but also shows the propensity to get beaten. So, not too sure you can put all your eggs in one basket on Flash of Lightning, but certainly could be competitive here. Hernandez definitely knows his way around there, can navigate a good trip, and maybe get this horse home. Should be finishing up here. So we'll put Flash of Lightning. So in the last race, we're going to put the 2, 4, 5, 6, and 9. All right, now let's recap the day and recap the bets. Okay, so for Friday at Del Mar, July 24th, big 2-day carryover over at Del Mar. We're going to play the late pick 5, which does start in the 4th race. We're going to start that out with the 2-5, with the 2-7-9-11, with the 1-4-6, with the single of the 8, Mohaven, with the 2, 4, 5, 6, and 9. Now that ticket is a $60 ticket. If you feel good about it, you can play it as is. If you want to add or subtract to it, you do what fits you well. If you want to play the pick 4 or pick 3s within it, that turf pick 3. Some of those are really good bets. I wish you the best of luck in what you decide to do. Let's wish the folks over at Del Mar a very safe day of racing. Let's wish ourselves some good trips, as we know that makes a difference at Del Mar in winning and losing a race. Thanks so much for watching Fast Horses today and listening to the picks. Hope we can get this this late pick 5 going on this 2-day carryover. If you haven't done so, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Delivers the content to you for free. It doesn't cost you anything. You can always like, dislike, make comments. Make good comments, make bad comments. I promise to respond to everything. So let's make this Friday a winning Friday with this pick 5. And we'll be back for more coverage from Del Mar, where the turf meets the surf. We'll see you back later this weekend.